Hello, my favorite first graders. I hope you're doing well. I miss you so much. I was so happy to see some of you at my parade. Oh, that blessed my heart so much. I was crying happy tears. I missed you so much. Thank you for my cards and my flowers and my gifts that you gave me. I was just so blessed, and I thank you so much. Let's get ready and let's do some phonics together, okay? This week you're going to review some old special sounds. We're going to talk about a few new ones. We're going to talk about a funny word this week, a funny word. And then we're going to talk about some sentences and the differences between a sentence and a fragment. A fragment's another funny word that we're going to talk about. So let's get busy with phonics. The first sound I want to talk about, I want to review a little bit. Now this sound, I know that we've talked about it before. I know that you learned it in kindergarten, but it's always good to review and go over and over some things because remember phonics, it's not just about phonics. It's about reading and it's about writing because all of these skills will help us become better writers and better spellers and of course, better readers. The first sound that I want to talk about is that aw sound. Now we've been talking about this special sound for a while. Now there's several ways to make the aw sound. Remember the A-W? That makes aw, like in the word law or jaw, or even in some of these words on, like yawn. Then we have the A-U. When A and U are together, remember it's a special sound. That makes the aw sound, like Paul and Saul. And then A-L-L, when that's together, that also makes that aw sound, like in the word called. You can hear that aw sound. And then last week in phonics, you saw the A-U-G-H. Now what's tricky about this one is the G and the H are completely silent. You do not say that sound at all. In fact, if you were trying to sound it out, you might try to say ugh. We don't do that. The G and the H are silent. I see the A and the U, so that's going to tell my brain that that makes the aw sound. Like in the word caught and taught and daughter. All of those words have the aw sound. And remember, the G and the H are completely silent. We don't even say them. This week on phonics, you're going to see the short O sound, and lots of word family words have the short O, aw sound. Like O-F-T, that says oft, like in the word soft. Or O-N-G, that says ong, like in the word song. O-S-S, toss or cross. And then O-S-T, that says ost, like lost. All of those words have that short vowel, O. Remember the brevy that goes above it that tells me it's a short vowel sound? They all make the aw sound. This week, you're going to see some more short O, aw sounds. Like in this word family, O-F-F, we know that says off or scoff. Look at O-G. That makes the og sound, like in hog and log. And then lastly, look at O-T-H. O-T-H says oth with the T-H, like in the word moth and cloth and broth. Broth is like a clear soup, like if you've ever had chicken noodle soup, or if you've ever been sick and you've had some broth to make you feel better. Broth. All of these words have that short O, aw sound. Now here's a new special sound that we're going to talk about today, and this is where our funny word comes into play today. Let's look at these word family words. A-I-R, A-R-E. Both of these make a special sound. They make the sound air, like there's air all around us. A-I-R, air, like in the word hair, or chair, or stare, or fair. It's not fair. Have you ever said that? Now let's look at A-R-E. Now Miss Boyett, I thought A-R-E said R. Well, that's a sight word. That's a wow word. But this is a special sound in phonics, and it also says the air sound, like in the word care, share, stare, and dare. Have you ever said, I dare you to do that? I dare you to jump out of a swing. Now I want you to look carefully at this one. Stare, S-T-A-I-R, and this one, S-T-A-R-E. Now here's our funny word. These two right here, there's a special name for those words. They're called homophones. Can you say that word? Homophone. Now a homophone is when two words sound exactly the same. Let's say them again. Stare, stare. They sound the exact same, but they're spelled differently and they mean something completely different. This stare, S-T-A-I-R, that means something you climb. I have stairs in my house. Or you walk down the stairs, or you trip down the stairs. Oh, this one, S-T-A-R-E, ooh, that means when you're just looking at someone intently. You're not even blinking. Maybe your parents have had to do that to you before. Or maybe one of your friends, maybe they were doing it to you in class and you did not like it. Have you ever heard someone say it's not polite to stare at people? It's not polite. Those two words are called homophones. They sound the exact same, but they mean something totally different, and they're spelled differently. Let's look at some other examples of homophones. You're going to see that in phonics this week. So we've already talked about stare and stare. Let's look at this one. Phil and Phil. Phil is a boy's name. It's short for Philip. Now, if you notice that PH, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Now, this is a person's name, Phil. It's capitalized. It's a proper noun. But this one, F-I-L-L, that means like to fill up a bucket or fill up your water bottle. Fill. They sound the same, but they mean something totally different. Let's look at this one over here, hair and hair. H-A-I-R, hair, that means the hair that's on your body. H-A-R-E is hair. It's an animal like a rabbit. They sound the exact same, but they mean something totally different. Look at these two. Flour and flour. F-L-O-U-R. That makes the hour sound. This is what I cook with when I bake cookies or bake banana bread. This one down here, F-L-O-W-E-R, flour, that's something that you pick and that you can smell or that you can give to someone. Some of you gave me some flowers this week that I love. So you can see that homophones, there's a ton of homophones, and you have to be very careful. Which one do I mean when I'm writing a sentence? And that's why spelling in phonics is important, because if you accidentally misspell these, you could be talking about a flower that you want to give somebody, but if you accidentally spell it this way, it means the flour that you cook with. So there are a lot of homophones in our English language, and remember, there are two words that they sound the exact same, but they mean something totally different, and they're spelled completely different. So you're going to see these on your phonics pages this week. Now let's go back to Phil. Phil starts with a PH, and PH is a special sound. It makes the F sound like the letter F. F, PH. Now PH can be at the beginning of a word, it can be at the middle of a word, but it always makes the F sound. It is a special sound. Phone, trophy, graph. We do that in math sometimes. Photo, Joseph. Do you see the PH at the end of Joseph? He's in our Bible stories. Remember, he had a special coat of many colors, and his brothers were so jealous of him. But then in the end, God used that horrible time in his life, and he turned it for good because he was able to help his family at the very end of that story. I love the story about Joseph. So when P and H are together, it makes the F sound. So you're going to see some of that this week in phonics as well. Now the last part of your phonics, and this is later in the week, you're going to talk about sentences. Now there are some sneaky words that try to act like sentences. They might look like a sentence, they might have a capital letter, they might have an ending mark, but they are called fragments. Can you say fragment? A fragment is not a complete thought. Because remember, a sentence is a complete thought. But a fragment is kind of sneaky. It has a couple of parts of a sentence, but it's not complete. And you have to be very careful when you are writing your sentences. You have to think, am I writing a complete thought, or is this just a fragment? Let me show you some examples of a fragment. Remember, fragment just means part. It's part right, but it's not complete. Let me show you some of my examples. The sun, period. Now, Miss Boyett, I see a capital letter. I see space between my words. I see an ending mark. That has to be a sentence. No, 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 no. Remember, we need 4 things to make a complete sentence, a complete thought. One of them is a capital letter. One of them is spacing. One of those is an ending mark, but we forgot the most important thing. This is not a complete thought. The sun, what is the sun doing? We do not know. Where is the sun? We don't know what it's talking about. All we see is the naming part of this. It is not a complete thought. This is a fragment. Even though it has that capital letter, even though it has an ending mark, it is not a true sentence. It is a fragment. Let's look down below. Play outside, period. Who's playing outside? We don't know. We don't have all the information. This is just part of a sentence. So we call this a fragment. It's not complete. Now, what is a sentence? A sentence is a complete thought. And in order to have a complete thought, we have to have 2 main parts. We have to have the naming part. That's also called the subject. That's who is our sentence about, or what is our sentence about? And the other important part of a complete thought is the telling part. That's our verb. That tells us what is our person doing, or what is our thing doing? What action are they taking? So in order for a sentence to be a complete thought, a true sentence, it has to have a naming part and a telling part, a subject and a verb. Now let's look at these examples. The sun is shining, period. Well, that's a complete thought. What is my sentence about? It's about the sun. What's the sun doing? It's shining. So I see a naming part. I see a telling part. I also see that capital letter. I see space between my words. I see my ending part, my ending mark at the end. This is a true sentence. It's a complete thought. Let's look at the next example. We play outside. Well, who is this sentence about? It's about we. That's the naming part. That's our subject, who it's about. What are we doing? Well, we play. Play is our action. It's our verb. So this is a complete thought. I also see my capital. I also see my ending mark. We play outside is a complete sentence. So this week in your phonics pages, you're going to look for naming parts and telling parts to make complete sentences. And remember, we never ever want to write a fragment. A fragment is just a part. It's not complete. Now the last topic I want to talk about is verbs. Now remember, a verb is an action. It's an action verb. It could be a word like jump or scream or play. But there's different kinds of verbs. Verbs can tell us about the present, and that means now. It can be something you do right now. A verb can be past, like It happened yesterday or last night or early this morning or last year. Or verbs can be in the future. They're telling us about tomorrow, what will happen. And there's some easy ways to recognize if a verb is talking about the present, is it talking about the past, or is it talking about the future? Let me show you a few. Let's look at this verb, play. When I see play, that tells me that it's happening right now. I play outside. I play cards with my kids. Play. I'm doing it right now, today. But then, look at the next way I wrote it. Played. When I see that ED at the end of the verb play, that tells my brain that I did it in the past. I played basketball last night. I played soccer last fall. When I see that ED at the end of that word, that tells me it happened in the past. But then over here, I see will play. Whenever I see that word will, that tells me that I'm going to do it in the future. This is the future tense of that verb. So anytime you see will in front of a verb, that's telling me that that's going to happen in the future. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, maybe next year. Play, played, will play. Let's look at the next verb. Work. I work on my lesson plans. I worked in the garden last Saturday, ED. I will work on my Red Star scripture. So anytime I see that word will, it tells me that it's going to happen sometime in the future. Cook. I cook for my family. I cooked dinner last night. I will cook dinner later tonight for my family. So anytime I see that word will, that tells me it's going to happen in the future. Let's look at the last one. Watch. I watch TV when I'm bored. I watched that movie last night. I will watch that movie when it comes out on video. So remember, if I see ED at the end of a verb, that tells me it happened in the past. If I see the word will in front of the verb, that tells me it's going to happen in the future, sometime in the future. So look for these verbs this week on your phonics. You're going to see verbs that are written in the present, happening right now, in the past, and in the future. I want you to work really hard this week on phonics. Don't forget to study Red Star Scripture. Don't forget to read on the reading app. And I want you to have fun. I love you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.